Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Andrew with All Things Fantasy, and in this video, I just wanted to preview a little bit of Week 11 on DraftKings and FanDuel, and just kind of give a little insight on guys I'm looking at this week and people I'm having my lineups. So just kind of get into it real fast. I guess we'll start out with the games I'm looking at this week. So the three games I'm really targeting this week are the Saints game, the Thursday night game. Well, they played earlier in this year, the Saints and the Panthers, and it was a very high scoring game, and I expect the same thing this time around. Um, but I think this time it could go a little bit different. Maybe we see Cam go off for the bigger game. I'm definitely gonna have a lot of exposure to that game on both sides, and I'm definitely gonna have that for a lot of Thursday, Monday slates. A lot of those guys in there. Next game I'm looking at is the Packers Redskins game. The Packers have just been giving up tons and tons of points, in their past games, and their defense has just not been there whatsoever. And the Redskins have looked decent. They had a tough matchup against Minnesota last week, and they still, were able to put up like 24 points or something like that. They were still able to put up over 20 points, and I think Washington's a team that you can definitely stack and can definitely have they have definitely has huge upside potential, and I'm definitely gonna have a lot of exposure to that game, both ways as well. Green Bay's offense has been really has started to become really less and less intriguing to me though, as the weeks kept going on. Like I was really interested like when they played the Colts, but then last week I was a little less interested because I thought I was more on the Tennessee side, which was the better side, and then this week I'm more on the Redskins side, but I will probably have at least one or two different. I might have a couple riders lineups just to kind of be maybe a little contrarian if people are on Kurt too. But I don't think that game is going to be as popular because of some of the other games out there. But yeah, that's like my second game I'm really looking at, and then my third game is the Tennessee Indiana game. So yeah, obviously Marcus Mariota has been killing it in fantasy the past couple weeks, and really, for the better part of the season now, it seems like he had a little rough first, rough first start into the season, but now he's coming on strong, and he's been really, really solid. And he draws a great matchup this week against the Colts. The Colts defense has been giving up tons of points, and their defense has not looked great at all. You can beat them with a run and the pass. They're vulnerable to both, and I like really the same stack as last week. The Mariota, Murray, um, Matthews, and even Walker. So I mean I'm probably gonna have all four of them in the same lineup, but I will probably have three in some lineups and go for some stacks like that just to in cash, yeah, not in tournaments, in cash, just to give myself all of Tennessee's touchdown equity because if they do have another crazy scoring day like they did last week, you want all their touchdown equity. You want Mariota, you want Murray, you want to capture all those points. Yeah, so that's like the third game I'm looking at. Excuse me. And then the fourth game that I think is going to be a really popular play, but it's more of a one-sided play. Like we're all the three games I just mentioned were all games that you can have exposure to both sides. Games those are kind of games that were stacks you can kind of run back with the opposite team. Um, this next game, those are all games you can game stack. This next game though is the Steelers Browns game, which I think is going to be a very 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 popular cash game play to stack the Steelers. Um, just I mean up until now, the Steelers have been this a Steelers stack has been really just a tournament play for the most part. But with this matchup, I think the Steelers is definitely a cash game play this week. Um, Big Ben, Antonio, um, and Le'Veon Bell all draw really great matchups this week, and I think you're going to see that a ton. Definitely looking very chalky. Um, but yeah, this week I just think there's tons and tons of good plays, and then maybe you don't see Mariota be crazy highly owned because Big Ben overshadows him. Who knows? But use that to your advantage. But yeah, I definitely think people are going to be all over the Steelers this week. So obviously not all over the Browns. I mean, if you want to stack it with the Browns, maybe you can run it back with Pryor or something, and try to um, have a little game stack there, and maybe it works out for you. But I just personally have not had any confidence in Browns players this year, and I don't think I've really had any exposure to any Cleveland player in my lineups all season. If anything, I've been, um, I've been playing defenses against them all year because I've had no confidence in their offense. So that's kind of where I'm at against that. Yeah, so those are kind of the four games I'm looking at this week that I'm gonna have a good amount of exposure to. Definitely those first three are gonna be tons of exposure, and then the next one I probably will have some Big Ben cash lineups. But yeah, it's interesting. I think obviously Mariota's a good cash play this week. Um, Big Ben's a good cash play this week. Um, and I mean I think the Packers Redskins game, I think that might be maybe more of a GPP play. But I think you really could play Kirk and Cash. I mean, obviously he's not the best. He's not going to be the most obvious play, but I think I think it's doable. But yeah, those are kind of the games that are sticking out to me right now. First, kind of first takes on this week. So let's talk about some QBs since I was kind of already talking about it. Obviously, if you're playing Thursday, Monday slates, Cam and Breed are really interesting options, and um, Cam and Breed are really interesting options. And I think, like I said before, I think Cam might have the better game this week, but I think I'm definitely gonna have exposure to both. Like, um, I think the one thing that I was a little bit worried about was how Breeze plays on the road. Um, and this game is in Carolina, something to note. Um, Cam, he's. I think Cam does play a little better at home, but it's not like anything like Breeze. Like Breeze historically just plays like shit on the road and plays so good at home. But obviously, he has an intriguing matchup against the Panthers D, who has not been great. Um, I'm looking at last game. Cam had 31 points last game against the Saints, over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Breeze's game against Carolina, he had 36 at 400 yards and over 465 yards and 4 touchdowns. So obviously, Breeze definitely got the better of him there. Um, but yeah, like I said, that was at home. And Carolina only lost by 3 points. So yeah, obviously that game went absolutely bananas. Like 79 points was it? If I'm doing the right math there. Like yeah, it was crazy team game total. And I expect pretty much the same thing here. Something to note though, the Panthers defense has looked at least a decently bit better than they were when they last played. I know it hasn't been anything crazy. Like they still, I mean, they still gave up points they still lost to Kansas City last week. So I mean, nothing crazy here. Like they're still, I mean, they're still not winning football games, but and they did hold LA to a 10-point game, but that is the Rams. So I mean, I'm not saying that Breeze can get shut out this game, but I don't think you can. I don't think we can expect an 80-point game total this week, but I think we can expect um, a pretty high total. Um, and I definitely think you want exposure to Cam, and I would say Greg Olsen is probably going to be a sneaky option this week. And honestly, I think something to look out for is Jonathan Stewart. I think Jonathan Stewart is on my radar this week. I think he could have a multiple touchdown game this week. But yeah, so that's my take on that game. If you're running your Breeze, I'd definitely run with Michael Thomas. Coming off a bad week, I think it's gonna be low owned. I definitely might go some tournament. Breeze to Thomas plays. Um, I think that's really interesting, and maybe run it back with Jonathan Stewart or something. Definitely could be a good play there. Yeah. So let's quickly talk about that. I already kind of talked about Mariota. I think it's a great matchup. I could see going the other way with Andrew Luck and maybe trying to go contrarian that in tournaments, but I think Mariota's just the chalk cash play. I mean, even though QBs don't really get too chalky, but I think Mariota is just a great cash play. Um, and then like I said, I'd say I'd go Kirk over Rodgers, but I love that game. And then Big Ben. Um, Big Ben obviously is a great spot. So we'll go running backs real fast. Obviously, I talked about Le'Veon Bell and Murray being in great matchups. It's this week's running backs are really similar to last week. The guys I had on my radar, Bell, Murray, and Zeke, another pretty good matchup. At Dallas, and I don't think there's anything stopping Zeke anytime soon. But again, J.J. I think is in a really good matchup. I think it's a really intriguing matchup. Spencer Ware is kind of one guy I might look out for, and then Jonathan Stewart. Going for some cheaper picks, I think we can look at CJ Procise, who could get the starting job. We're not really quite sure if Rawls is coming back. Even if Rawls does come back, I still expect Procise to keep a good amount of work because he is, a great pass catching option for them. Maybe we'll see more of a Sproles, Ryan Matthews kind of relationship there, more like maybe kind of like how the Patriots do their thing. I definitely think CJ Procise has earned a good role on this team, and I think he has really good value there. Kind of sucks that we don't have 1 week of we know Procise is the main guy, because I'd be all over him. I mean, we still obviously it's still early in the week. We still don't have all the news, but if that is the case, they're holding Rawls out again. I'd be all over Procise, especially for that price. We saw he did last week. In this week, he doesn't even have Michael to take any snaps because Michael got waived. So Procise is the guy if Rawls is out. But yeah, that was something last week. I was kind of scared about Procise was that Michael would get the touchdowns and ended up not happening. Another guy I'm looking at is James Starks. I really do like Starks as a play. I think he's gonna, he definitely got a majority of the snaps last week, which was unexpected. Kind of his first week in the lineup, and they just put him to work right away. So I feel confident rolling Starks out, as a cheap running back just to try to and I feel comfortable with him in median value. So I'm definitely gonna have some exposure to him in cash. And maybe some tournaments, he's a good value play. So wide receivers, Like I was talking about before, Le'Veon Bell, or not Le'Veon Bell, sorry, Antonio Brown just being, you know, in the nut spot again. The Pittsburgh stack, very expensive stack, but he's in the absolute best spot. Interesting play, like if you want to kind of pivot off of Brown in the tournament, um, Odell Beckham Jr. I think he's in an amazing, amazing spot at home versus Chicago. We saw what the Bucks did to Chicago last week when they were the Bucks were at home. I expect the same thing to happen. Um, I think the Giants' defense can be all over them. I think the Giants are going to get tons and tons of looks on offense, and I expect Odell Beckham to just rip apart this defense and have a monster game. You know, I definitely expect him to have 100 yards and a touchdown. Which by looking at some of his stats, that is going to be one of his best games of the year. He's only had 100 over 100 yards twice. I mean, last game obviously he was 3 yards short, but still, it would still be one of his best games. So that's really who I like as my um, high priced options. Going down a little bit, maybe some cheaper guys to keep on the radar for are Moncrief. I think you could definitely kind of game stack that with Mariota, obviously Rashard Matthews, with the matchup, and then I think Jameson Crowder is really interesting. He's been really, really consistent. For the not now for the greater part of the season, and just kind of producing solid numbers at his value. And his price is kind of slowly. He's kind of really slowly just kind of climbed in price. I think he draws a good matchup this week, and I think Kirk Cousins will be looking for him. But yeah, I mean that's really the guys I really really love this week. Another thing to keep in mind is Tyreek Hill. If Macklin sits out again, I'm all over Tyreek Hill. With his price tag, with the amount of targets that he's probably gonna get. He got 13 targets last week, 10 receptions. 10 receptions alone on his price tag was awesome. Yeah, I'm all over Tyreek Hill. I'm over Tyreek Hill if Macklin's out. 13 targets, sign me up. That's a ton of volume. So going to tight ends a little bit. This week is really interesting for tight ends. I feel like all the elite tight ends have great matchups. Gronk, Olsen. Gronk. We don't know if he's gonna play because he has a punctured lung. To me that seems pretty serious. But they're saying he could possibly play this week. But if not, he'll only sit out a week. So who knows? If I had a punctured lung, I'd probably be out for a while. But just kind of something to keep in mind on. But like Olsen, Reed, Walker all have great matchups. I think one of them bound to have a huge game, so I definitely would have exposure to them. Like I said, Olsen, Reed, and Walker were all in the 3 games that I was talking about earlier. So something to keep in mind. But I think there are some good value tight ends. Some guys I'm looking at. Tyler Eifert has looked pretty good. In his couple, and now that he just came back off of injury. But he doesn't draw like the best matchup against the Buffalo Bills. So I'm probably not gonna be on Eifert. Travis Kelce is really interesting. With his matchup against the Bucks. I know the Bucks defense, they looked really good against the Bears, but I know the Chiefs are not the Bears, and Arrowhead's a different place to play, and I would feel confident rolling Kelce out. On the opposite side, I don't feel that comfortable rolling Bray out this week, even though Bray's been on this hot streak. I think Kansas City's defense does play really good against tight ends, and I just don't feel confident rolling Bray out in that situation. Zach Miller, honestly, it's all dependent on Jay Cutler. And right now, Jay Cutler had a good week and then he had a bad week. And who knows what kind of Jay Cutler we're going to get this week. So I'm not confident with Zach Miller at all. I think honestly the best like a couple value plays for tight end are going to be Julius Thomas. Detroit has been the worst against tight ends, so he's just in a great spot. And I would feel really comfortable playing Julius Thomas against Detroit and really feeling comfortable that he has a good chance of scoring a touchdown. And then Jason Witten. I think Jason Witten has kind of been under the radar with the way Dallas's offense has been going. Zeke having so much attention, Dak having so much attention. Obviously, all this news with like Romo and everything. Like people have kind of been not paying attention to Jason Witten. And I think he's kind of been steadily going about his business and putting up decent numbers for his price tag. He's really cheap, and I think if you're just looking for a cheap tight end, I think he's a good option. And then we'll go to defense real fast. Last week I struggled hard with picking a defense with confidence, and I rolled out Washington in a lot of lineups, and it ended up being not the worst pick, but not the best, so it wasn't bad. This week, I mean, for kind of some cheaper defenses, I really like the Dolphins, just because of their matchup. And who knows what kind of Jared Goff we're gonna get? I feel like in your first game in the NFL, you're probably gonna throw a pick, and you're probably gonna make some mistakes. So I definitely do like the Dolphins D, and the Dolphins defense has been playing pretty decent last couple weeks, so I like them. I really do like the Cardinals D this week. I think the Cardinals D is is really underrated right now. Like they have Minnesota's D priced ahead of the Cardinals D, but I feel like Minnesota's D has been just kind of on the down, like on the downward slope, and Cardinals D has been kind of on the Cardinals D has kind of been on the upwards trend a little bit. I mean they gave up. I didn't like that they gave up a lot of points to San Francisco, but Carolina was understandable. We've seen Cam beat Cam before, and they were away, so that is something to note. But I don't know. I do like the Cardinals D this week. Obviously, the Steelers D kind of being a really good cash play. I think anybody against Cleveland is a good cash play. Same with the Patriots. Anybody against the Niners is kind of a decent cash play. And then the Giants are intriguing. Like the Giants, if we get bad Jay Cutler, the Giants are gonna my Giants gotta pick six and just be a great like one of the best plays of the week. So I don't think there's too many standout plays this week. Yeah, I feel comfortable in the Steelers and cash. Honestly, I think the Chiefs. I'd feel comfortable with the Steelers, the Chiefs, for cash, and maybe taking a chance on like the Giants and the Cardinals for tournaments. But honestly, even Dolphins for cash. I feel confident Dolphins for cash. Yeah. But yeah, honestly, not many two like standard options though. Even the guys, even the defense that look good. Like we've seen this. You've seen crazy things happen in the NFL this year. I don't think there's really been any rock solid defense this week, and the Broncos are on bye. I'm pretty sure. So, well, how do I not know that? Yeah, the Broncos are on bye. So, so that kind of like eliminates that one option from. That eliminates that option. Kind of just going all in on Denver, but the defense is really kind of a position where you kind of gotta take a chance and you know take a chance against a quarterback that can make mistakes. And I think um, some of those options that I gave out were going to be your best opportunities. So hopefully that helped. Hopefully that gave you some kind of good information to go off of and some good guys to be looking out for this week. Um, yeah, so that's been my week 11. I guess picks or whatever you want to call it, like preview. Yeah, week 11 preview. Yeah. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Comment any questions you got. And good luck this week.